Okay, gentlemen, are we all here ready to fucking go? I asked y'all a question!
As I reveal my giant monkey!
That's not as funny as you thought it was, boy!
God, I thought he meant penis!
I swear, the only thing I hate more than weaklings.
Hey, I'm speaking, soldier! Don't fucking speak unless you're smart as fucking dirt! What we're gonna do is we're gonna fly over
The talk show at the end of the week.
Space is big.
Star Citizen Base.
It's really big.
Round Table.
Oh no, that's wrong. This is the right one. There we go. Hello everybody, and I messed up the names already. Welcome to the Star Citizen Base Roundtable here on the Base Radio, as ever, as always, every Sunday. At this Sunday evening, where we talk Star Citizen, its happenings, it's salt, it's sugar, it's sweet things, it's salty things, it's news, it's cool things, anything that goes by the week, and we just sit around and goof about and talk about it, and you can ask questions and we can answer them back if we can, or not, whatever happens. But as all in all, it's a fun show. You can interact with us if you're on Twitch, twitch.tv/TheBase Radio. If you're listening on Shoutcast, you have the opportunity to get into our chat, then do so, because it's fun at twitch.tv/TheBase Radio, like I said. There will be a chat there that will be rolling with people in it, and I can already see people in it. Hi, Whiskey. And
we have bananas.
We have bananas, but moreover, we have a little function on there where you can use to submit questions, which will be in the following manner. Use. It's familiar because most streamers use it that way. So use the word question, surround it by square brackets, and then type your question. It'll then be submitted, and it'll be gathered by some sort of bot, wherever, and we will go over those questions later in the show. What the hell is it, Jay Lee? Wow.
Jay Lee. Zockley's here.
Zockley.
Yeah.
Hey.
We'll see
Rain.
who else.
What up?
All of my Imperium buddies are here. That's great. Silo, how are you?
Silo?
Okay, it's a packed house today.
What?
That's good.
I guess it's because of the
humping and can start introducing our guests now.
Shut your filthy Norwegian mouth.
I know.
You. This way. You. Shut the hell.
It's because we announced, so Twitter exploded when Eden made that post, right, with the nice picture announcing that the show today was going to feature your favorite copyright editor and me from YouTube, who's been covering the recent CIG Crytek thing, Mr. Leonard French.
Hey guys.
Hello.
Thanks for having me.
So let's get this out of the way really quick, because I've heard you identify yourself as a few different things on your Twitch stream.
Sure.
You're LJ. You're Leonard. Your favorite copyright attorney. How would you choose to be addressed during this next 2 hours of the demise of your YouTube career?
Oh, Leonard is fine.
Leonard, okay, cool.
Whatever is Twitter.
Does he? No, we can't hear him.
You talking to me?
You?
I have push to talk because I'm coughing lungs.
That's great.
Okay.
So
the flu isn't native to the United States, so there's a bunch of people sick all over the damn world right now.
That's true. So, in case you don't know the rest of us, I'm Rellim. There's the only with his. Hey, that's a nice hat, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Well, yeah, you too.
Oh. Okay, so whoever talking to anybody.
Yeah. And below me is the Gentile, the Gentile. Is that a baseball cap?
It is.
It's NRA baseball cap.
It's my NRA baseball cap. And if you hadn't noticed, it's raining money for all the lawyers right now. So suck it up while you can, fucking vultures.
That's nice. Holy crap.
That's funny.
The lawyers in the lawsuit, yeah.
Yes, exactly.
What, it was only like, a week ago was the previous response, so they definitely did their job in a week.
Yeah, but first, a little bit about Leonard. So well, basically who the fuck are you, other than we discovered you as you started talking about Star Citizen. Other than that, I'm clueless. I know you talk about your dogs, but, you know, frankly...
Yeah, the whole YouTube thing.
I don't like dog people, so I skipped that part.
Definitely came out of nowhere. I've been a practicing attorney for about 6 years now, a little over 6 years. And it started out traditionally doing bankruptcies and wanting to get into copyright, but practicing in Pennsylvania is not New York or LA, which are the copyright meccas for the United States. So I was just doing traditional stuff. I've been doing traffic cases and all that. But about 5 years ago, I got involved with doing copyright defense work. There were lots of companies that were filing lawsuits against people who would download adult entertainment without paying for it, if you know what I mean. And so these companies would come along, and some of them were pretty nasty. Various.
Whoa.
What?
Back up. You're a porn lawyer?
I'm the pirate lawyer.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, okay.
Yeah. So this whole thing. I mean, just not to get too far into it, but the whole thing started a longer time ago. Bram Cohen invented BitTorrent, of course, or created it or whatever. The protocol. And the problem with BitTorrent and like many peer-to-peer file sharing systems is that it shares your IP address as you're doing your peer-to-peer stuff. And you can sort of use a VPN, but that slows it down. So a lot of people don't do that. And there's companies that have come along and they've started to be able to collect these IP addresses and then, you know, trace them back to at least an ISP or a location close enough, and then they slowly worked on getting district courts to agree that these locations were good enough, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then finally the adult entertainment companies caught on in about 2011, which is when I was becoming a lawyer, and I started getting phone calls for cases in Philadelphia to defend people who were accused of downloading porn without paying for it, basically. And so I represented in one of the first cases, the very first Malibu Media case, which was one of the largest copyright filers in the history of new copyright litigation. And since then, I've done a whole bunch of that stuff. And that's cool, and that makes it rain, like Juntao's background, but it doesn't fill the heart. You know what I mean? And I found myself susceptible to the same problem that many people who, it doesn't. I don't think it even matters what your background is or what. At some point you find that the money doesn't always make you happy, and so I wanted to do something that would make me happy. They tell you to have a couple things. If you have a job that doesn't make you happy, have something else that makes you happy. So I started doing stuff on YouTube, and it wasn't even intentional. I just started putting out like stupid stuff that I'd film with my camera, not law videos. Like one of them was during a music festival, there were some dancing ducks, and so I took some video of the ducks dancing, you know, with the music in the background. Stupid stuff like that. You know, nothing that got more than like 10 views. And then one day the Fine brothers announced that they were going to trademark the word react for reaction videos. And that was just stupid. That was just so stupid to me. I just flipped the camera on and started talking to it and then posted it to YouTube, and it got 185,000 views. And I was hooked. I was instantly hooked, and it quickly became my alternative career. The first year was me fumbling with figuring out how to talk to a camera and not sound like an idiot. I still sound like an idiot, but at least I know how to talk to a camera now. And this is year two was growing to here, and year three I'm hoping is crossing 100,000 subscribers, and I'm taking this to a much more official and stable and sustainable level.
Oh, no shit. So this is going to be the beginning of your third year of Twitch/YouTube broadcasting, or do you broadcast directly to YouTube and not Twitch?
It has been YouTube, but YouTube has made many decisions for us YouTubers this year. And so anybody who knows about surviving turbulent business climates, you diversify. So
Twitch is something you're looking into.
We're looking into Facebook.
You use it
we're
today.
looking into everything else. I mean, heck, we're even looking into platforms that that are under development right now, just to make sure that we have something to do if it goes away.
I remember in your last video, not this one that just released, but the last Star Citizen related video anyway, you were speaking on how YouTube has not financially penalized you, but is enacting policies that are stripping away your ability to make money on their platform, which is part of the reason why people do that stuff. And you were promoting your Patreon and stuff, which we will obviously here be willing to help you do. So if you would like to somewhere, I don't know where, maybe PM Eden in Discord or something, all of your relevant information, will spam the dog shit out of it and see if people are willing to help you financially there. So that leads me to a question then. You know, Twitch is a decent money-making platform, which allows you to have people subscribe to your channel based on how many times you broadcast and all of this other stuff. If you can get partner status, is that something that you're thinking? You're considering for a future revenue stream?
Probably be able to achieve partner status. I don't know how quickly, but we've hit the achievement, except for the fact that I also do a bunch of like little game streams that get like 10 viewers, and they drive the average down, and they want you to have an average of 75 viewers. So we get more than that on our live show, but we don't get more than that. Maybe I have to separate out the channel and do my game streaming on a separate channel or something. But I just feel that's stupid at some point to just have all that separate.
Okay. So that begs another question then. You stream games. What games are you streaming then?
I like to stream stuff that I enjoy playing. That seems to be a good, modus operandi, is to do something you like, and then people who will want to watch it. So right now it's Metro 2033 Redux. I had bought it a while ago, hadn't played through all of it, and so then I decided I would have at it in Ranger mode on stream. We're just playing Ark. We have our own private Ark server, and a few of us staff members of Lawful Masses, where we like to kind of do our like team building activities by trying to tame dinosaurs. Stellaris and Civ 6. I'm trying to play some quadruple X games right now. There's a bunch more. PUBG, lots and lots and lots and lots of PUBG.
Oh, is that right?
Oh yeah.
You're one of those, huh?
400 hours in PUBG.
One of us. I wonder how many times my 15-year-old has shot you square in the fucking face, and you're like, oh!
Probably, and I probably rage quit at some point too. What was he?
These kids are so good nowadays, dude. It's crazy.
Reported.
I got a 13-year-old and he's 16 now, I should say, and a 16-year-old that just wrecked that game crazy. I'm like, here comes the puppy.
Oh, you don't get out of it.
Oh, that's the other one. We didn't see that one. You had a golden last time.
You don't like to jump up. She's the shepherd. She just likes to guard. She does not like attention. Unless he's throwing the ball. She loves that.
She's like, why would you do this to me?
Why did you put me up here?
Yeah.
This is dog abuse. Here, you want a nubby? Here, you can have a nubby. I bet you I can get you up here again.
Nummies.
Yeah, treats always have a positive effect on the dog.
Good girl. There you go.
What a pretty dog. How old is she? She's a little older. She's got some gray going on there.
Yeah, she's coming up on 6, I think, here. I got her right after I got my law license, so that was 6 years ago, so she's 6.
Shepherds are good dogs. You got a golden too then, right?
Yeah, they're both amazing. I couldn't really ask for better dogs. They're just
the two. You don't have a pocket dog?
I know. I have
First dog or
I
what?
raised a third. I raised a mix. He was half or part German Shepherd or half German Shepherd, and a bunch of other stuff. And he looked like
You got a jealous partner right over your corner, right there.
Yeah.
He's like, what the hell, Leonard?
You come up.
Yeah.
Come up here, honey. Come on. Up. Go boy. Go boy.
See how that works?
He smelled it.
I know. You can't give one to the one and not to the other.
Yeah, no, you can't do that. They hear from across the house and come running. It's amazing.
Shut up, Tio. I got dogs. I like dogs. No one wants to hear your Norwegian bullshit.
I can only say that you're just a smittens above cat people. Just a
It's better than a cat. I'll give you that. It's way better than a cat. If you had
Twitch
19
and cat
cats
people.
running all over your crib, I would be worried about it.
Oh, I had 2 cats left from a long time ago, and they both passed in the last year. But that's okay. They had long lives. They had very long.
They live a long
happy
time,
lives.
don't
Twitch is full of
They
that
do.
stuff.
The next cat will probably be something that I raised from a kitten, though. I don't know.
Oh, look at this. There's
That's all
like,
we
what
got.
is this?
That's all we got
Whisker
this
S.
time.
Whisker is cat is in the chat. Whisker is cat is like, what the hell? Go bag on cats. That's funny.
Whiskers. Dogs are great. Cats are okay.
whatever.
Definitely don't connect with a cat the same way I connect with a dog. That's all I'm saying about that.
Bork.
What? If you want, you can come up here. If I'll pet you. Come here. Come here. Here. We'll just have a. We'll do the stream together.
We have
So-
successfully transitioned this into a animal lover stream. That's
Yeah, I'm
good.
trying to rescue this now. So, how did you get into Star Citizen? What caught your attention there?
The Crytek versus so Star Citizen the lawsuit or Star Citizen the game. I'm interested in
assuming-
space games. Elite Dangerous was one that I was playing. Star Citizen, it was one of those. I wasn't sure if it was vaporware, so I waited and I waited and I waited and I waited, and finally I don't know when, sometime last 2016 fall, I caved and I bought a base package or something and a ship or something. I don't know. I spent around $100, and I don't know. It didn't seem like a complete game at the time. It did work for me. I figured then I would just like put it down and wait for 3.0, and then 3.0 was delayed, and then I think the lawsuit came out before 3.0 did, so I was covering the lawsuit then. And then 3.0 came out, and I haven't been able to try 3.0 yet. It hasn't. I've had various technical difficulties.
Well, you know what? We can help you with that later off stream if you would like to see
Sure.
if you can get that running.
Sure. No priority on that. I've got a million things I'm doing before I'm going to be able to work on that. But
There
yes,
is
definitely
nothing
think-
besides Star Citizen, Leonard. There is nothing.
Well, what's the
Even though it's
like,
broke as
what's
shit.
the
It
status
is broke
of
as
it?
shit.
It's like it's not
It's
a
broke as shit,
persistent
dude.
universe yet, right? Like it's not like a.
Well, the
It
not a
appears
game
that the
changer.
majority of the tool.
Am I starting something by asking that?
No,
Yeah, so right-
We're all about salt.
So right now there is no Squadron 42 out. It's being worked on, but it's
Okay.
gonna come out when it's ready. It's like any other single player game. You don't get it until it's more
I
or less.
remember
complete.
playing something that I guess it was in 2.6. It felt like a single player something, but
Like some arena commander stuff.
maybe, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, you were flying against a bunch of AI and shit in like an asteroid field.
No, we were running around. In
Darn
spacesuits.
Submarine. That's
Mm.
the first-person shooter part of it,
Yeah.
where you play PvP.
And then there was the. I mean, I'm serious, guys. I'm sorry. I have not been able to log in for a little while on it. There was the, I don't know, market hub or something. It was pretty cool. It looked like it would be like awesome if it was part of a much larger universe.
Oh yeah, the ArtCorp part. Well, then you need to do yourself a favor. Instead of watching a movie one night, go ahead and watch the, was it the Gamescom presentation?
CitizenCon?
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
Gamescom.
Was it CitizenCon or was it Gamescom? CitizenCon was Squadron 42 centric, or no, it wasn't. That was the December
The last one.
Christmas live stream.
Yeah.
That was, yeah.
There's so many fucking Star Citizen cons all over the place that they get mixed up. But they did.
The vertical slice is pretty good to go watch.
But the one before that, where they were showing the build out of the Crusader system, CitizenCon.
Yep.
The chat will know more than I do because I get it all mixed up anymore. I'm getting old. Gamescom was Procedural Planets. And which one showed ArtCorp in its glory? Was that Gamescom or CitizenCon?
That was CitizenCon.
You holding on to me, buddy?
Be scared.
Now, so right now there is no Squadron 42 out for anybody. It's not going to be for a while. 3.0 is the first time they put together the major core, what they think is going to be, the core engine of the game, into a joint engine for the MMO part. But it's first now. You can call it an early alpha, if you know what I mean. You're now in the alpha stages of the engine, as the word you have been using a lot of time. Lumberyard.
Yeah,
lumberjack.
So
they can't see the dog.
By the way, that amused me. You got it. You read it 3 different ways today. So.
It's a chat box. There we go.
Good boy. Oh, now he's getting off on his own.
No, it was so for us, we're just waiting, just like you, and you're probably going to wait a few years. That's the status of it. So there is no Squadron 42 out, as per, it's still in development, so nobody can claim that it's been, released to the public or anything like that.
Well, sure, but there is a fundamental problem that in our pre-conversation prior to the show that Leonard presented, where he said, I bought something that I thought was a game. And that, unfortunately, is a lot of the times the way that Star Citizen is perceived, that it's something that you can actually get involved in and soak, an exorbitant amount of hours into gameplay entertainment. And it's not. It hasn't been. It's not at that point yet. It is still very much in pre-alpha development. They are still developing the tools to make the game function. And that's a common thing I see. I'm in all kinds of Star Citizen chats and Facebooks and all this other crap where people are like, yeah, I bought this game and it sucks. Yeah, because it's really not a game yet. It is a toolbox that they're letting you participate in and watch the development. Yeah. And that was part of the reason why a lot of us got involved, what is it, 2018, like 5 years ago, dude. 5 years. Holy shit. Wow.
Yeah, that's the only part that really concerns me. I understand that what I've bought into, and I'm not like upset or anything that it's not out yet in like some finished form, but there's like an expectation that it's going to be someday, not like I usually play the game of hyperbole with myself. Like, would I be upset if it was not out for 10 years? Yeah, that'd probably be like too long. But 5 is another 5 years like too long? Yeah, that still feels like it's pretty long.
Yes.
But it's definitely not going to be out in like a year. So we still have ways to go. So I guess there really should be people, just caveat emptor. People have to read up and do their research and stuff and all that. But I can sort of see both sides. But
they've really made that whole part, or they made an effort to make that whole part a lot easier. That when people go to the website, of course, the whole revamped website helps there. And I've seen the new.
That's material for the salt block.
Why is it salt?
Because a lot of people don't like it. Well, Chris reiterated in Reverse to Verse, to be fair, that it's just the first step into a new website, and they wanted to get it out sooner rather than later because they've been fucking constantly pushing things back. So Chris wanted to get at least the forward facing. So if you weren't a backer, what you see when you first go to that website is completely different than what you see as a backer. And it's supposed to explain to you the differences and where the game is at and this, that, and the other. So I understand why they put it out the way that they did. But Turbulent,
the roadmap, though,
I've been an
useful.
avid defender of Turbulent, but I can only say that this was shabby work. But we're coming back to that in the salt block.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, before he interrupted, what the hell were we talking about?
Game.
It's a game. Well, it is what it is. It's in the state. It's in the state that it's in, you know. And I think, you know, we have always been proponents of the fact that every gaming company seems to take their last best effort and throw a new skin on it and call it something new. And it's getting old. Playing the same game over and over and over again that has different cosmetics is getting lame. That's why Star Citizen was such a big ploy to a lot of people. The console generation, I guess, took over the market and everybody was playing Call of Duty and all this shit on consoles. And the people in the PC realm were playing dumbed down versions of games because they were all ported from console to PC. So it felt like, I don't know, people, I'll call us the master race, whatever, were being left behind. And then Chris Roberts comes out with this big ploy saying, you know, they said I was dead, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if you've ever seen his initial pitch. PC gaming is not dead, and he wants to build a game that's going to fucking go back to the old school where video games were designed for PC and melted your hardware. Physically had to have the best of the best hardware to even think about playing the game. And I was like, okay, I'm on board with that. I like that idea, as a lot of people who are more towards the beginning of this project were of that mindset. So yeah. What in the fuck are you talking about, Mitachi? You want to fight me, bro? Stream got really racist. Because the PC Master Race? Jeez, oh, Pete.
Yeah, that kind of racism.
Fuck the console, man. I played fucking Xbox for years.
Consoles have their purpose. I mean, it's, you just, you know, it is what it is. It's like it's a locked bit of hardware so that developers can know what they're developing for without having to deal with any of the other stuff. But the PC has quickly become much more uniform to develop for.
It's like comparing an Android and an iPhone. Something is to play with for simple people that needs to have a simple introduction into things. And then you have the advanced hardware for those who, you know, do stuff. But
simple is sometimes good. We don't knock in simple, right?
We're not knocking simple. Okay. Simple is good. You know, when you're going to give something to your grandma, you know, simple is good.
Logic, why are you harassing Rellim?
Who's
Rellim?
Yeah, if you format, and by the way, that's something to reiterate throughout the show. If you have questions, especially for Leonard, since he's been gracious enough to grant us his presence for the next couple hours, question in square brackets. The chat bot will pick it up and put it into a special place for us to refer to later to actually ask those questions, and we will cover them in the last segment of the show. We will not answer questions during the show, so keep that in mind. We are not ignoring you. The bot is minding you as the little console peasants that you are.
Okay. And and
that's the bottom of the hour.
That's the bottom of the hour. And so I was going to go there. The show is made up of 4 blocks in case that's why you said the last block will be for the questions, which means that this is the end of the first block, and we will go to a little music break. Because we can do that, and we are a radio station, blah, blah, blah. And then we'll be back with some more Star Citizen talk, hopefully, and maybe just, you know, whatever we get to talk about. So yeah. Anything else? No. Let's go to music. We'll be back in like 5 minutes, whatever.
See ya.
And welcome back to the Star Citizen Base Roundtable here in the base, the Base Radio. Star Citizen's premier Twitch radio. I screwed that up. Anyway.
You did.
That's why I don't do that. It's just. Anyway.
What brick wall?
We should get Jay Lee to some of those lines, just like Jared did just now.
He would.
We had a list of people where we keep asking them, but then we never sent them the list of things they should say. Okay.
Well, I would think that
Tyler?
that would be something we're on the radio station manager to facilitate, but he's too busy like making photospheres and shit.
Yeah. Radio.
Playing Star Citizen.
Did you freaking see? Did you
Backing
see?
up the hours.
What was it? Geoff Zanelli and his Squadron 42 soundtrack.
In that little bit in the last RTV thing?
Yeah.
It was funny as shit, dude. That was good.
I want that.
He seems like a nice guy. He tolerated Jared very well.
That's true.
So, Leonard.
Yes.
Let's talk about why you're here.
Why I'm here.
Yes.
I'm sure you'd all like to know why I've gathered you here today.
Yeah, so could you do a rundown of the initial lawsuit and
yeah. Well, so hey, no, do not start chewing your bone right now.
I hope you like
this is not the time.
saxophones. Right.
So something that we came across today was an interesting date, was December 11th, 2017 is when Crytek received their successful, I think, application for registration of a copyright on the Cry engine. And then December 12th, 2017 was when they filed the complaint against Cloud Imperium and Robert Space Industries, claiming that there were several breaches of contract and copyright infringement, including developing Squadron 42 without permission, a breach of contract for not using CryEngine to develop the game anymore, not marketing CryEngine properly with its splash screen at the beginning of the game, and not collaborating on CryEngine development. They're supposed to give any changes they make to the CryEngine, bug fixes, things like that, back to Crytek for incorporation into the overall product that is CryEngine. And so they filed this lawsuit. I covered that on my channel, Lawful Masses. We waited a few weeks. Like, there was the Christmas holiday here and everything. And then the defendants filed their own motion to dismiss. And in that motion to dismiss, they said that Crytek hadn't released the game license agreement that was at issue, and when you actually read the game license agreement, it says something different. So Star Citizen, I'll just call the defendant Star Citizen, says that the game license agreement doesn't remotely say what Crytek claims it does, that this exclusivity clause that is being misread, that this exclusivity doesn't mean that CryEngine is the exclusive engine for the game, but rather Crytek doesn't have the right to use anything from Star Citizen in its own projects. You know, so it's sort of whose interpretation of the contract is correct, and so we can go over the arguments if you want specifically, but I also got the impression that you guys had some thoughts already.
Well, my overarching question is just based on that stupid term, exclusively. And I've watched your breakdown of it. I've actually watched a few other lawyers' breakdown of it. And in the general use of the term exclusive in contract law, well, first of all, let me back up. in your opinion, is this a fucking copyright or a breach of contract? Because I know you were reading it and you were like, it's confusing because they're trying to like meld the two together in their amended complaint. Yeah,
without going into a ton of analysis that I've put in a couple hours on this. I would have to put in a few hours more to figure out, but it seems like this is not a copyright case because there is a license agreement and the parties involved with the copyright claim were really involved with a license agreement. And so at worst, it seems like there's a license agreement breach and we would turn to the normal remedies for breach of contract, which is any license agreement is a contract. Even if RSI isn't a party and is therefore using CryEngine in Squadron 40, I don't know, even if they're not a party and are somehow doing any of this, my understanding is that they're not using this licensed version of CryEngine anymore, that they've switched over to Lumber Yard, which even though it's also CryEngine, is a different license through Amazon, not through Crytek. I really couldn't tell you who is 100% right here. That's part of the problem is people want some like answers, and I don't know that the answers are contained wholly within these documents. And if the judge thinks that they are not wholly within these documents, the judge will not grant the motion to dismiss, and we'll hear about some external evidence. If the judge does agree, though, then the judge will. And this is also a middle of the road possibility. The judge may make the complaining party, Crytek, file a second amended complaint clarifying some of these claims.
Push to talk.
Fucking hell. Being sick sucks. But the main thing for me is the lack of evidence in the lawsuit. The lack of where they go from factual, this happened, this is what, this is what we are complaining about. They're just saying they did something without saying what they did. So
I do agree there. Like I would have to ask you guys for sure, but I didn't think Squadron 42 was in any sort of publicized state yet, and yet they're complaining of it in their lawsuit like it's a already published, everybody's buying game. Yeah. It's not happening. Likewise, I kind of have to agree that the exclusivity provisions don't make a lot of sense, except when you think about them in the defendant's perspective, that they're your normal game licensing of developers licensing a game engine. The developers would have the right to use the engine, but not to sell the engine. The engine creators would have the right to, say, hey, we have this, we're Star Citizen's being made with our engine, and they'd have the right to have their trademarks and stuff displayed in the game. But they wouldn't have the right to otherwise, like, make their own Star Citizen game using the information that they've garnered from the relationship or something. So you have stuff in there. Should this have been phrased differently? Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I'd have to see other. One of the things that would be discoverable in the discovery portion would be all of Crytek's similar license agreements with other companies. I would think that those would be easy to get a hold of and see, do they have a similar provision, and did those companies act in a similar way? So if I don't know, it's like Just Cause or something created with CryEngine or whatever, those, you'd find out who's created with that engine and find out what their license agreement was. And if it wasn't their understanding that their entire game was exclusive to that engine forever, then, there's going to be some emails back and forth. Someone's going to have some questions about that when they were negotiating or something. Some of that will be discussed.
While I was reading, and I read it before you put out your dissertation or your breakdown of the second amended motion to dismiss, or whatever the hell we're calling this, rebuttal to the rebuttal to the rebuttal.
It's like a response to their opposition to defendants' motion in support or memo in support. So yeah, it's like the third round. or a second round or something.
And it seems to me that the arguments that they're making against they sound pretty solid to me, especially on there's two issues that stand out to me. First is that the term exclusively, right? To me, exclusively has a pretty cut and dry meaning. You are allowed to use our engine, and only you are allowed to use our engine. You are not allowed to allow someone to use the engine. That's for
but you could see how maybe the language is a little bit ambiguous, especially to someone not familiar with the language. Grants a license to exclusively embed the engine in the game and develop the game. How does that word exclusively apply to that sentence? Well,
I think that my definition fits most pertinently in that.
I agree, but
only
you could definitely...
you are allowed to embed the engine. No one else is allowed to embed our engine on your permission. They would have to get permission from Crytek. That's the way I interpret. But I'm not a fucking lawyer.
There is a sub-license clause there, right?
Yeah, there's a sub-license clause, and you have to also remember that this is the end of a sentence. It's Crytek grants licensee a license. So in the context of granting licenses, what does it mean to exclusively embed the engine in the game and develop the game? It's not, if it was CryEngine being exclusively the engine for the game and no other engine can be used in the game, it wouldn't be Crytek granting a license to any licensee. It would be the other person, the licensee would be the licensor, and Crytek would be the licensee. It'd be backwards.
It makes
right. It would be backwards.
It makes no sense. But isn't that something they mentioned in the last?
Absolutely. That it would be absurd for CIG to sign a contract that says we can only use your engine for better, worse, richer, poorer. We're married for life. I'm calling bullshit. I'm just calling bullshit. You know, there's no fucking way. So how a judge is going to interpret that, especially in the Ninth Circus Court of then
also on a motion to dismiss standard, no one should get really excited about the motion to dismiss being granted or not. This one's kind of, for me, right on the line. Professionally speaking, I couldn't tell you which way a judge is going to go on the motion to dismiss. The judge could say that we haven't overcome the motion to dismiss and we need more information. Right. Exactly. And anytime you need more information, the judge is not going to grant the motion to dismiss.
Which is why I'm throwing all this money around right now.
The lawyers are going to get more. Yeah.
So he will probably request more information before
the judge... so the judge doesn't request more information, though. The judge would deny the motion to dismiss, saying that the discovery was warranted. The parties would enter the discovery phase, and then they would voluntarily exchange requests for discovery, and then any fight over discovery, over those requests, would be brought to the judge, and the judge would rule on those individual. The lawyers are actually supposed to do all this without the judge, and the judge gets really pissed off if if the lawyers don't do their job and just start bickering in front of the judge. So
they're supposed to agree upon this.
And all of that part also happens offline. It happens not on the public docket. Nobody gets to see that part happen. Nobody gets to see what the responses were in discovery until someone uses it as evidence in a motion to dismiss, which is no longer called a motion to dismiss at that point. It's now a motion for summary judgment at that point.
Let me ask you your opinion on this. Being that CIG bought the license straight out for 1.8 million euros, does that have any relevance to the arguments?
What do you mean as far as bought straight out? I've got the license agreement in front of me, and it does seem to be like a 1.8 million buyout, and it does seem to be there's like no remedies other than intentional torts. It does say buyout, so I guess I see what you mean.
Does that nullify the fact that maybe existence of the clauses in there about sharing information and providing updates and all this shit could be nullified by that purchase. Because that's the way the global head of direct
nullifies those other responsibilities. But the problem is you definitely have some kind of breach of contract if they didn't supply their bug fixes back in the toward to Crytek. I don't know about other things, but there's definitely some kind of breach here. But then there's also this section 6 or whatever that says that there's no remedies for breach. So that says,
which I remember you saying is just crazy.
This is kind of crazy that this would be in there unless the parties really intended it to be an arm's length. Here's your 1.8. Here's your cry engine and your support. But like, what would happen if Crytek took the 1.8 million and then never provided anything more than like whatever development copy of CryEngine that Star Citizen already had? What would be the remedy? I don't know. There was something in here about specific performance. That's when you can force someone to perform their duties under the agreement. Let me see about that. That was like what, 10 point something or other?
You're asking.
I'm not sure what Farseeker is talking about. Farseeker says that point is addressed in footnote 2. I'm not sure what that means.
Okay, we'll take a look. 10.7 says, notwithstanding anything in this agreement to the contrary, where a breach of certain provisions may cause a party irreparable injury or may be inadequately compensable, which is the standard for irreparable injury, either party may be entitled to obtain equitable relief, provided that under no circumstances shall licensee be entitled to enjoin the exploitation of CryEngine, nor shall Crytek be entitled to enjoin the publication or other exploitation of the game. So again, that
just means we're not
another indemnification of the that's just sort of more evidence that this was a normal license or licensee transaction. But now you were saying footnote 2 in what the new? Let me pull it up here.
So one thing you guys are doing that is one to keep straight here is that one thing is bug fixes to their existing engine, and then it's as they develop their own tools and make additions to CryEngines, I would think that would, per words, in the contract, it's not part of it. That's something that would have to be looked into closer, and certainly not assets like images, 3D renderings, films.
Well, those aren't necessarily
captures.
Part of the source code that belongs to Crytek. That's all artwork that was created by the company.
So bug fixes to the engines as it existed, as it was handed over, or newer versions were handed over from Crytek to CIG, those are the fixes that I can see they were agreeing upon sharing, but not any further development on their own version of Star Citizen or technology that derives thereof. And this is what, in addition to money, I think is what they're after. Because the tools developed by CIG is groundbreaking in terms of game development.
What Leonard just posted in the chat relates to what Farseeker was saying. If the court allows the claim to proceed, defendants will demonstrate that CIG tendered delivery of the bug fixes more than 2 years ago. So if that's the case, and they can prove that they were sharing of information, then that kind of nullifies that argument.
And it goes on to say that they did also tender a bug fix pack or whatever on January 23rd of this year, which seems, like something you might do after you get sued for it. But they're claiming that they were planning on making that delivery before there was any lawsuit. I'm not saying either of those things are true. That's just what footnote 2 says.
Yeah, so you have to remember, in addition to the date that, when they released that they were switching to Lumberyard engine, they were already switched engine. I think was it 6 months prior to that? They had already switched to Lumberyard and was development on Lumberyard. So that was no longer an issue at that point.
Well, they didn't make a public announcement of their transition to Lumberyard to the community anyways for a considerable amount of time after it had already occurred.
6 months or something like that. 5 to 6 months. So it's you have to take that date and go even further back. So I'm just trying to get all the facts straight.
But I would say, based on that statement right there, that CIG satisfied any remaining obligations under 7.3 of the GLA, delivering an updated amount of bug fixes on January 23rd, 2018, is going to force the judge to want more information. If I was sitting back trying to gather up all this information and all this information was coming at me like that, and then you throw in something like that, I would need to have way more information than what's presented in these first few documents.
Yeah, some declarations under oath, some depositions, maybe some document exchanges. I can see it. I can see it surviving the motion to dismiss. And then I guess we'll eventually get an opinion from a judge. At least we'll get something, unless the parties somehow settle it.
Yeah, well, you know what? I've been talking about that for a while, and it's a potential that they do settle out. Somebody's going to lose here, and unfortunately, for CIG, it isn't CIG that loses big here. It's us, because it's our money. Yeah,
it's your money. How does this benefit Crytek in any way? I'm struggling with this. Maybe we should save it for the next segment, but how does this benefit Crytek? Like the suing of a client looks bad, and now other potential clients that might want to use CryEngine are going to be like, let's see, I could deal with Amazon, or I could deal with Crytek. Let's see. Crytek had a really weird lawsuit against Star Citizen, and I don't know. So depending upon how that opinion comes out, I guess, at least in the meantime, if I was thinking about using Crytek, I'd go look at Lumberyard or some other engine. I mean, there's Unity and there's Unreal right now, and I'm not even a developer, and I know about them. So, there's probably other stuff too.
Yep.
But it sounds like there's opportunities out there. I don't know. So if it's publicity, this is terrible publicity. Like, this is not the way to get publicity.
Yeah, well, other people have said in the past that any publicity is good publicity, especially, well, I guess that relates more to like artists and stuff like that, because if you're talking shit about somebody, at least you're talking about them. But in this instance, I probably agree with you more that if you're trying to sell a product and you're noted for suing the people that buy your product, that's probably not this person that I would buy the product from. How asinine. This whole thing is so fucking diluted, dude. It's been making people just nuts.
I agree with Innovis. I think Crytek is dying, and I don't think they care about potential future customers or clients. They're just looking into...
Well, their engine is dying.
How can we pocket more money? Let's sue, CIG.
There's a different
financially,
aspect.
How could they be dying? How could they be dying financially? They got 1.8 billion euros from CIG, and who knows, millions of 1.8 million euros. And how big was the contract with Amazon? Big. I don't know the exact financial figure, but it was big. So they got money. Unless
sold out
cocaine and prostitutes took over somebody's life and they went
something happened
in Dubai.
Somebody wants more or something. I don't even know.
So there's the potential of them wanting access to more proprietary information about the tools.
Crytek
has
could
developed.
Acquire those tools like SolEd and all of these things, the 64-bit precision expansion that made the gameplay space unfathomable. If they could incorporate that,
they would have Lumberyard.
They would have Lumberyard. But they don't have the network support of AWS, so I don't understand what they're doing. It's crazy.
They're trying to drag. I'm pretty sure they're trying to settle hard to get something.
Is this an attack on Lumberyard?
Like a backdoor attack?
They got their money from Amazon and then you turn around and you're like, screw the people who then went to Amazon?
It could be. But why would you sell the
I don't know,
the
it's so
source
weird.
code to somebody who's going to sell your source code and then attack the people that paid for that? You know, that's asinine.
Why would you sue people who are still using your code through the people who licensed your code? It's so weird.
If you trying to get money and you legally obtain the right to use or own the tools being created, right? For Star Citizen. Those are new groundbreaking tools only found in Lumberyard and in Star Citizen. And there are tools that for large games that has a large scope, that's going to have a lot of structure, a lot of place, which is going to be, I guess, not all the future of gaming, but a lot of the future of in gaming. You can, even if you don't want to develop it further on in your own engine, you could sell that right further on. Or you could settle with Amazon to not sell that on. There's so many ways to go. So I think it's all about the money, just that it's more money on in play that they think they can get at than the 1.8 million euros.
Right.
I don't know. If you do a deal with Amazon, that's a big deal. That's a big godly style company. They got money, you know. So who knows what the contract looks. Maybe Crytek is just in the business of writing shitty contracts and they think they could have gotten more out of it now that they see that CIG has like some ungodly amount of money in the bank that they don't have. Jealousy or something. Wow. Who knows?
Not like CIG is freaking rich either.
I mean, developing games is expensive.
Oh, yeah.
I got to see a little bit of that with the Imagos case. I know how much it costs to develop even that small
well, that the
game.
Scope Star Citizen's doing it, it's going to cost even more because they're breaking so much new tech here that has to be made, and they're making it to make it work.
But they don't have a marketing budget. They don't have shareholders that they have to answer to. It's just money that goes right into development. That's part of the reason why I invested money into this project.
Sure.
And now lawyers.
And now lawyers. So I'm confused though, as that response to that that CIG just released doesn't like name Ortwin Fryermuth as one of the representatives. It's like different people.
Oh,
out of Europe.
Yeah, he rescinded himself from that case.
Well, I also didn't go over that in my part of the stream. Let me see here.
Well, we're about to go to music break anyway.
Okay.
We're coming back for more of this salt. This is good stuff.
Are we? Yeah. Okay. Well.
Let the salt flow through you.
More salt.
We'll see where the conversation leads.
See where it goes.
You will become the salt.
I don't really have to touch on what happened in Star Citizen, though. It was a lot, but well, I guess since he's here, we'll take our chance.
My name's Lot's wife. There we go.
So
the third block is called the salt block, in case you didn't.
Jesus. We'll go to the music break, then we'll be back. Remember to ask your questions. You can do that question surrounded by square brackets, you know, square ones. And then you type your question after that. Will get submitted, and the bot will, you know, make us a nice list afterwards. We will start answering all those questions, or handling them, as you want to call it, in the last block. The fourth is that. So don't worry, you're not being ignored. It's getting submitted. We have them gathered, and then we will go over them later. But until then, we go to the music break, and then we'll be back after this. More Star Citizen talk. See ya. Hey, welcome back to the Star Citizen Base.
And then there were 3.
What is that? I need to put those eyes back on his chair. Had those somewhere. So welcome back to the Star Citizen Base Roundtable here on the base. You're listening to on Twitch. Well, we have a lot of questions I can see already, like from the freaking list. We probably should just kill the question bot. Don't you think?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. Yeah,
it's we have plenty right now, so otherwise we would be going on for hours. So that's good. Yeah. So let's stop gathering them. Unfortunately, we need to do that, otherwise we'll be busy quite a long time. But we'll sure we get all of those that were handled, as long as they're good, or we'll see. But we're not on that topic yet. This is the third block, which is traditionally the salt block, but I guess we've been doing so about the same subject that we could just go on.
Salt. We could go into Mr. Leonard French's salt. Do you have any salt regarding the Star Citizen game in general?
Well, I was kind of expecting a game to be like playable by now. Traditional early access games are a little bit more playable than I've been able to get out of at least 2.6. I have not been able to successfully launch and try 3.0 much at all yet, so that could be me. I originally installed it to I have 11 drives connected to my computer, and the launcher did not like not being on a C or D drive, so I figured that out and got the launcher to work, but still did not successfully get into 3.0 yet.
CRD.
So just a little salty, but I haven't exactly put a whole lot of time into it.
Is your C drive a mechanical drive, or is it some sort of solid state drive?
We're almost all SSDs now, and so what ended up working was putting it on my D drive, which was half of a NVMe M.2 drive.
Yeah, and that is absolutely where it's going to work best. So if you, in order to facilitate 3.0, you have to delete your existing launcher and download a new launcher.
Yes, I did that much.
Yeah.
Did get that far.
But you have not attempted to launch 3.0, or you?
I did, and I got to the splash screen. I got to the selection screen, and I think I clicked on one of the. I forget what I did, but it started loading and then crashed, and I didn't really try it much after that.
Yeah, that was a big issue at the onset of 3.0 when it first went live to the community, is that the game client would just crash right out of the box consistently for most of us. Yeah, and that has since been rectified. But
I figure I'll just come back to it in time.
At that point, I think we can say, Leonard, you haven't really tried.
I haven't really tried. No, I do completely admit that I have not really tried.
I'd like to introduce you. I was
just
Leonard French,
this isn't ready. I'm done.
The impatient gamer.
No, but really, just like I'm thinking of regarding the thing that it's a common thing that people say when they come back to the game. They're like, this has been in development for so many years, and they expect something more. But like one argument we've done that lots of times on this show. We always say like what was it? I'm just figuring. Like for one, the game has been reiterated on so many times that they're still redoing ships as we speak that have been modeled and created so many years ago. And the scope of the game when it was advertised to us in 2012 was the beginning of the idea for Chris Roberts. And with other games, you usually just you only hear about them when the development has been going on for so long that they know for sure they can make a game and they can release it by this point. With this game, it wasn't the case at all like that. of course. So that's why I said like 2012, Chris Roberts pitched the idea. He only had a working demo of some sort with really dumb CryEngine tech, which sort of worked, but just wasn't consistent at all, and nobody could really work with that. So they really just had to restart everything so many times during the whole 6 years.
But it's an iteration process. You take away the lessons, which is the most important, and you take away the tools you can use, the assets you can use. It's not like they start from scratch, from zero each time. It's just that they learn that where the scope of this game is going, we have to do it a certain way, and this way is certainly not working. So it's a lot of trial and errors, and those trial and errors are usually not public, and they are now more public than ever in any game developed in the history of game design, at least for AAAs.
Yeah, but there's a fundamental problem with the entirety of the project, and that being that there was never a game engine created to facilitate gameplay of this nature. Seamless, no loading screens in like an endless sprawling universe. I mean, I think Elite Dangerous has that to a certain extent. They have a lot of open play space, and I don't recall ever having loading screens in Elite Dangerous. But how long did they spend?
You had videos, splash screens, basically with jumps and stuff, and that's what you're going to have here as well, where you go from one system to another. So you're technically loading in the background while you're playing a mini game while you're loading the main new system.
You're talking about jump points, though.
Yeah.
Which is technology that doesn't exist as of yet. So I understand that portion of it, but where have you seen millions of kilometers by millions of kilometers by hundreds of thousands of kilometers in 3D space that's been playable? Nowhere. And they had to take an engine that was basically designed for an 8x8 kilometer map and expand that out to the nth degree.
Charlie,
that's pretty nuts.
1-3 in chat, he just says the exact same thing I was thinking of. Space engineers. It has something like that. It has like infinite space where a map would just go on endlessly, and it took them a long time to get the planets, the functional voxel planets in the game. And in that case, they're even much like, it's a little different though, because voxel planets and space engineers are actual, you can mine into them, you can bore into them, you can change everything about it. You can go from one end of the planet through the core to the other if you wanted to. That would take a long time, but you can do it. It's all material.
Yeah, but they're completely different approaches to gaming. Because Star Citizen is going for photorealism, and Space Engineers is not photorealistic. It's not an ugly game by any stretch, but it is very like Lego Minecrafty. So when you're talking about...
We're coming back to the same issue as the Salt we had in the previous round. Where's the money? The money is in the tools that are being developed.
Sure.
Leonard mentioned many times that you don't see why the lawsuit is happening, because it's not we're talking about lawyers costing more than the frivolous pittance that people would be getting, and I don't see it either. It has to be something else they want other than just the money. So
they want the Star Engine.
The money is in the tools. The money is in... If they could get a judge to say, well, you have to turn over everything you've done with CryEngine, and get the judge to, then incorporate a lot of the stuff that has technically Lumberyard written all over it, and deem that to be CryEngine.
We summoned the Zockley.
And even if a judge wouldn't do that, the chance of a judge doing that would open the wallet for out-of-court settlements.
Hang on, this is just interesting. We have so many people in the chat. We have Jay Lee, Star Citizen, artist, and Zockley, Space Engineers, community manager. What? We're a big deal, man.
No, I spammed everybody's Discord earlier today that Leonard was... Oh, yeah. I let everybody know that Leonard was going to be here, so that's very nice.
Very cool.
So many professionals
I think
here.
that You know, Space Engineers has been in development a considerable amount of time, like longer than Star Citizen has, and it's in
now.
relatively stable condition. Yeah, but it's been 8 years, hasn't it? I think that they first announced their early access in 2010, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if that's accurate. Zachary can confirm or deny that charge, but I did not let anybody slip past Zach. No. And I thought you would be interested in this. He's been around. He's a Star Citizen fan, but he's also like the community manager for Space Engineers. He's a very nice guy. So
okay, so apparently
very
was
2013 was 2013. He's saying so. It's about the same time frame ish.
Yeah.
I get you don't want to jump to conclusion, Leonard, because you want to stay professional and give you very often say your opinion. This is my opinion. So
he doesn't want to get sued.
Sued or not, it's difficult to see exactly how this one's going to fall just based on this information. The parties obviously have more information behind this. There's going to be emails or discussions. There's going to be some kind of external evidence, external to the contract, to explain what the parties were thinking about when they negotiated this thing.
Yeah, but if you go for the single word, which is the biggest contention here, exclusive.
Yeah.
If you look at the latest amendment to the motion to dismiss from CIG, is there any way you can interpret, as we discussed before, in your opinion, the word exclusives as in CIG signing over their rights to do anything to Crytek?
No, that honestly makes no sense to me. I really see it's hard for me to articulate exactly why I feel that way, but I can't see this series of paragraphs meaning anything other than what defendants are saying it means. How would a exclusive license how would you license CryEngine to be the engine for the game and have that license require the game to never be made with anything but CryEngine? It is so far against the normal procedure in game development to commit yourself to one engine for all time, and not even say for all time. But then even if you go with that interpretation, with Crytek's interpretation that it was meant to be an exclusive use of the engine in Star Citizen, as in the engine is the only engine allowed to be used in Star Citizen, there's also this no damages clause down here in Section 6 or wherever. Section 614. Except for intentional acts or omissions, gross negligent acts. Now, it does say intentional acts or omissions. It doesn't say intentional torts, but I don't know if that court's going to care. It doesn't. These seem to be extremely little and technical disputes. So I'm really curious as to how a court is going to interpret this. I really want to see how the judge is going to word it, because I'm having trouble articulating the wording of it myself. It doesn't seem like a terribly clear contract, I'll give you that.
Push to fucking talk again. So my follow-up question would be, how would a judge be willing to, because that would, if he were to judge in any way, he would most certainly go to an appeal court, right? If he were to, let's say, the word exclusive, or
no, actually, the judge will have the discretion to rule on the law I believe there's a jury trial demanded here, so the jury will actually determine which facts they believe, and only if there is some really egregious error of law or fact would an appeals court entertain an appeal. They could certainly, the losing party can certainly
in this case, but this would change the law, contract law, completely all the way on its head. If you were to
no. What would happen here is the judge will decide what law applies, and the judge will tell the jury, if you find that this fact is true or this fact is not true, check the box here. It's not whether the jury finds there's been a contract breach. The jury will find certain facts to be true or not true, and that determines whether the law, whether the elements of a contract breach have been made. Yes, in a way, the jury ultimately determines the outcome of the case, but the jury is not, it's not like a one question form, did the defendant win or did the plaintiff win? It's the jury is going to make factual determinations about which testimony they believe, which evidence is more credible, which witnesses are more credible, which evidence makes more sense in light of the witness testimony, etc. The parties are going to submit instructions to the judge for the jury, and the judge will approve the wording of the instructions to the jury, and then the jury will act on those instructions. So the parties will have their own opportunities to phrase the way they want things for the jury, and the judge will approve or disapprove.
And basically, it's saying that a jury is just there to determine for the judge what is true and what is not true, not to apply the law to those facts, but only to try to determine what is fact.
Yes. In the way the procedure is done, the judge anticipates the various outcomes and knows how the law will apply. And so the determination is pretty much made at the time that the judge or that the jury returns their verdict, or made by the time the judge gives the jury their jury instructions. The judge knows if the jury says this much, then the case goes in favor of the defendant. If the jury says this, then it goes in favor of the plaintiff. But that's the point. That's just the way the procedure works out. We just saw this in the Milwaukee lawsuit that I was talking about. The jury returned a verdict, and then Snap-on had made motions to get rid of the jury's judgment, and the judge went through all the elements and all the important stuff about why you don't get rid of that stuff, and then finally issued a judgment that denied all those motions, and then issued the $30 million judgment.
The 28?
It was 28 plus interest, so 30 something.
Okay.
It's crazy talk.
Yep.
And I agree, Moon Council said a long time ago something about armchair lawyers and shit. And I've said 100 times across this discussion, I am no lawyer. Things either logically make sense to me or they do not logically make sense to me. Now, in the United States, is that applicable to the law? Sometimes not so much. Sometimes he who makes the better argument can bend someone's ear, even though it may not be factually accurate. So
yeah, it depends on the law and whether you have that gray area to make those bendings of the truth. You can get away with it if your rule or whatever you're dealing with allows it.
Liar, Liar?
Yeah, that's a great movie.
Yeah.
The world would be a very interesting place if we were all, That would be a very interesting place.
All right, so you want to break at the bottom of the hour here, Rellim, and we can come back and try to rapid fire these ungodly amount of questions that we got this time around, because it's pretty crazy. Last week,
every question gets a yes or no answer.
Well, we're gonna have
at least
we're gonna have to keep it away from a full blown conversation and try to make the answers as decisive as possible, I think.
Yeah.
We'll
okay.
Yeah, Bob, have you never been here before?
And then I guess we'll rule on the case. Final ruling.
my ruling is Crytek should get fucked, but that's just fine.
Jintao's already made his decision.
Well, they need to get their fucking hands out of my pocket.
Okay, yeah, let's go to
that
music.
part I agree with. Like that part, I totally agree with. This does not seem like a lawsuit that needed to be a lawsuit.
No.
But then again, like, you know, I've been in the room, I've been the lawyer who's like, guys, why won't you work this out? And trying to get two parties who don't want to work things out to work things out. So I do get that part too.
Keep your wallet in your pants.
Yes, we approve of the ruling, whatever it is. There we go.
Let's let's go to music break, and then we will go through the questions as much as we can.
Okay.
Let's quickly go, and then we'll be back. Let me actually, welcome back to the Stars as a Major Roundtable. Hello. That's right. It's computers, man. It's computers, man.
Totally over. It's all over.
Just wow,
What
so much
in the
stuff
world
going
is this
on.
guy stuffing in his mouth? Did you see that? Holy shit! It was like the size of a cat.
Give us
He
the
just
finger.
ate. Oh,
So
Lord.
this is the last block where we go through all the questions. So let's try to do that. Should I do that? Or is Eden still here?
Rapid fire.
Eden refused to read the questions.
All right,
She
then.
put it on me.
There were too many.
She's for those of you that
What the
don't
hell is this
understand,
channel?
I'll explain it again. Eden Star is in the midst of taking the last two exams for her licenseship. I don't know if that's a word. For her completion of her architectural license.
Oh, geez.
So then
Definitely go study for
she's
that.
Under a fuck ton of pressure right now, and she's been like really not the happiest kitten I've seen in a long time. So she's pretty stressed out. So we let her do what she wants for now until she becomes a full blown architect, and then back.
Oh, and then back under the whip.
Back to work. That's right. So what's up? Fourth block.
Questions.
From nowhere.
Are we ready? Are you going to do them?
Okay. Yeah,
you,
sure.
You get the Dutch accent this time. Yeah, this is going to be great.
I don't have a Dutch accent. Shut up. You know who has a Dutch accent? Our Prime Minister. He's terrible.
Can you read them in Dutch?
No.
That'd be great.
What do you think about, from nowhere, what do you think about Sea of Thieves in relation to Star Citizen? Both games are very similar from technical point of view, but Sea of Thieves gameplay is simpler and less complex. Do you think CIG added too much complexity to the game, is causing all the delays over and over again?
Well, that's a very simple answer to a long question, and the answer is obviously yes, they've added a lot of complexity that has delayed the game. But if you pay attention to what Chris Roberts said, the more money you give him, the bigger the game is going to get, because he's not doing this to put the money in his own pocket. He takes every dollar that he can to put back into game development. How do you do that? You add features, you add tools, you add employees to add art. That's what's going on. It's, we've talked about this before. I think at their initial onset, they didn't expect to get $25 million. He said it before. They were expecting to have a budget of under $50 million, and now they have like almost $200 million. So would you rather him not expand the game and then like buy all of California? I mean,
when he was
I have
money
played
very
enough
quickly,
shitty games.
I don't think that buys Mall of California. Maybe like,
well, probably not.
Like a suburb in LA, maybe.
Sure.
Yeah. But technically, I have played so many shitty games, with the exception of Assassin's Creed Origins and Wildlands. But other than that, I can't even finish them anymore. I'm waiting for Star Citizen. So please don't listen to haters. Take your time, make the game, make it perfect and pretty. And then we'll play it when it comes out.
Or the alternative is to have you bitch about a shitty game when it's finished. That's the alternative. So whatever.
Well, the people are going to bitch anyway.
Next question,
Okay,
Rellim.
so we can skip this one anyway. Skip over footnote 2. We did that.
You can see the chat's getting
didn't
anxious.
skip over footnote 2. From Noir, what actor, actress you'd love to see in Chapter 2, Squadron, or 3 of Squadron 42?
I have no
Someone you haven't
opinion.
seen yet?
Whoever played 7 of 9, I forget her name.
What is that?
Whoever played River Tam, forget her name.
I really like this Scottish dude from Stargate Universe, though. What's his name?
Just put H. John Benjamin's voice in it somewhere. You know Archer? Dude's got just a great voice acting talent.
How about
If we could get like Morgan Freeman, that'd be cool. I love his voice.
what is the guy from
Martin Sheen.
I'm waiting for
Westworld.
Gillian Anderson. I haven't seen enough footage of Gillian Anderson yet. I'm over 40. I'm allowed to like Gillian Anderson.
Oh no, she's definitely she's cute.
Ed Harris? How about that? Ed Harris. Well, there we go. You got enough
Can't
now?
picture her, but yeah, definitely. Go for it. Next question.
What's the crazy from Grace?
That's right, Leonard. Take control of this.
No,
shit
it's
show.
on We Hamster. I'm reading We Hamster's.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you always like. What's the craziest off-base thing you have seen someone state as fact regarding the case from the Grizz?
The Crytek case.
Yeah, I guess he means that.
I don't know that I can tell which facts are off base yet, so it's hard for me to judge. So far, I've been accused of not being a real attorney, but that happens once in a while. That's okay. I can deal with that. No, I don't really know of an off-base fact. The major, the one that's really at issue in the case is the interpretation of exclusively and whether RSI is a defendant or whether it's committing some kind of copyright infringement. And all of that just seems really off in the relative sense. Like one party is definitely way off from the other party. A lot of these disputes make sense. Somebody sold somebody some goods, the goods arrived, they weren't in the right condition, nobody knows why, they sue each other to figure out why. Like that's really reachable. Most people can be like, okay, yeah, I can understand, the question is going to be whether or not the goods were damaged in the shipment or whether they left or when they arrived or, whoever was responsible for them, whatever can be proved. This is a little more whack than that. The parties don't seem to be disputing like small differences of opinion, but rather vast differences of opinion. Whether the game is meant to be all the way exclusive one direction or not at all exclusive in that direction. It's kind of a weird
and there's
situation
another one in there,
to
Leonard.
find yourself in when there's multi-million-dollar contracts.
Right. And they stated in the preface of the contract that the license was granted for Star Citizen and its companion game, but then they say the companion game is a breach of contract.
Well, then they also say somewhere that at the end that the companion game is only supposed to be inside Star Citizen, but then they also call the whole thing Space Citizen.
Right.
And then RSI is not a party except to the Autodesk part of the agreement. What is an Autodesk agreement doing in the GLA to begin with? Like, I don't even know.
Right.
So,
but technically,
it's just whack. It's just like
shares.
I don't want to call it amateur hour, but like
Squadron 42.
These are the agreements.
And Star Citizen are the same game, so they share the same asset. They start from the same launcher when that comes out. So technically, you can say it's the same game, but you have to purchase them separately to get access to both. But you started from the same place, you access the same assets, and that's it, and the same engine.
Honestly, I think all that's moot because it just seems to me that this is the kind of contract you write when you're not anticipating anybody to really go off script and suddenly make claims to games and things like that. I mean, we all thought it was weird when Alex Mauer claimed Star Mazer, and this is a different situation, but also equally out there. Why would Crytek, why would the development engine creator make a claim to the game itself? That doesn't seem right. Like that no other game works like that. So you could definitely make, I can conceive it, I can think of it, it's plausible, but why would they do that? So I'm not going into the game license agreement already thinking like this is the normal way to do it, so we should look for language that backs up that way. The language that backs up the normal way to do it is that Star Citizen can't create a CryEngine competitor, and CryEngine can't create basically Star Citizen using what they know. So it's that kind of cross-exclusive licensing, not the opposite. In my humble opinion.
Where's We Hamster?
In his humble opinion.
Next.
From Wobble.
Yeah.
Next question.
Wolf, probably the most asked question, but in the case somehow it got missed, did Mr. French think there was any substantiation to Crytek's position in the language of the contract, or did it feel like a grasp of cash?
It almost sounds to me like they got a new lawyer or new counsel who's trying to reinterpret the contract or something. Yeah. So attorneys have this standard called Rule 11 in federal court. It applies through our ethical rules of conduct as well. We're not supposed to sign pleadings and file pleadings with the court or any papers with the court that we think are frivolous. Basically, we have to do due diligence. We have to do a small amount of investigating and verify that the claims have merit and that we're not wasting the court's time. So this almost seems like an attorney would get Crytek's case and say, okay, well, I can kind of stretch this here and there and make a case out of it. And yeah, we'll be able to get past Rule 11. So the rest I don't care about as long as I get paid. I'm really not trying to like insult anybody's integrity unduly, but the case does not seem to be the strongest case. It does not seem to be the kind of thing that would need to be brought at all. And I think, as I said before, like what vendor does this to a client? Like this is weird. This is a really weird thing.
Sort of what Silotorn here says in the next question. It says Crytek claims makes wording in the GLA seem not specific enough. Is it because of the limits of legal English, because of bad writing by lawyers, or because Crytek's being dishonest in their interpretation of the GLA? Sort of like what you said, like someone else might have picked it up, tried to fix whatever they were trying to do or whatever.
Yeah, or it was a combination of that. It might have been bad writing or quick writing now or then, excuse me, and then a either misinterpretation or reinterpretation of it now, because maybe back then it might have been written by somebody different. I understand that Ortwin Firemuth was part of it. I don't know the details of how much and all that, but let's even say that it was written by Ortwin or whatever. It may still have been one of these situations where nobody ever anticipated that they would really sue over it because Crytek got their money and Star Citizen, was doing their development. How it got from there to a lawsuit, I'm fascinated by that. I really want to know that. Like, was there did some other lawyer come in? Did some other person come in? Did someone get ticked off and say, find some reason to sue them? Just whatever you can get. Is Crytek doing poorly on money and they're just like a Hail Mary for money? Or will some document, further on in the lawsuit reveal that Crytek's just not doing the greatest job convincing us all with their lawsuit, but they really got a good case, and we're going to show it. They're going to see it later on or something. It's possible.
That goes into a follow-up question, though, which we should have asked earlier. Mm-hmm. Given that it's common that you don't do dismissal, motion for dismissal is put aside because you need to go to discovery. Do you have any feelings what's going to happen in discovery, or is it a completely open book there as well?
I think it's open, but I'm going to use the analogy that it's a closed book because discovery is a closed process. The lawyers will exchange requests for documents and depositions and things like that. And those things that are revealed only get revealed to the lawyers and possibly the parties, and they only get revealed to the public or the judge later on in the case, either when there's a dispute over discovery itself or when someone's ready to make a motion for summary judgment or present evidence to a jury or judge in a trial.
Okay, now that has a question. I have a question.
The summary judgment.
Well, just real quick, I think that we still haven't heard enough about the motion to dismiss. I think that the judge will probably not grant the motion to dismiss and order the parties to make a summary judgment motion later on down the road.
Sure, but my question would be is if they do proceed into the process of discovery, they have to get together on this, the lawyers of both parties. Is that accurate?
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
so if they start presenting each other's evidence to each other that starts discrediting each other's claims, then there is a process or a potential for everything to just kind of fall apart because let's just say, because I'm on the side of CIG on this, because I have a vested interest, obviously, that they present evidence to the lawyers for CIG or for Crytek that everything that they have presented is bullshit, and here are the documents that prove bullshit, then the whole thing could just fucking fizzle out and go away.
Yeah, basically.
Oh
if
my
one
God.
part, if it could be that the parties come to some mutual agreement to dismiss the case. It could be that there's some kind of settlement where somebody does pay some money to somebody else, and that could be confidential or it could be public. It could be that after all this discovery, both parties are still kind of clinging to their positions, but one or both parties think that they have enough evidence to file for a motion for summary judgment. This happens like 75% of the time. Judges hate it. Judges hate this one thing that parties do. And that's file motions for summary judgment. The judge then basically has to go through the whole trial, but not as a trial. Instead, it goes through the papers in summary judgment, and then we'll rule on that. If the judge can get rid of it in summary judgment, great. If it can't, then we go to a trial on the merits, determine whose testimony and evidence is more credible. Along the way, the judge is whittling down what the actual things to fight over are, so that we're going to trial only on the few things that are left to fight over. So yes, some of these things will get tossed out. There probably will be. There could be this motion to dismiss could be like a partial motion to could be partially granted. We could find that some claims get thrown out and some claims survive. It's very likely that the judge will give Crytek a chance to amend the complaint. Anytime that there's good cause, the judge is supposed to allow that. So it's very possible that we'll see a second amended complaint from Crytek with some clarifications for some of these accusations.
Is this was that the question you were talking about, Gio, or was it just your question?
I haven't read any other.
No, but Wolf is one here. In the light of the support that Crytek gave CIG for the years they were the engine provider, is it, in your opinion, a valid feeling of abandonment that they're not getting the return of their investment that they were promised?
It's an unreasonable expectation of a contract, of a business contract, in my humble opinion. These big companies should really know better than to do like exposure or goodwill in return for free stuff. So what I see is that Crytek got 1.8 million euros, and if there was some agreement to promote their engine or develop the thing exclusively, like as a promotional thing, exclusively in the sense that Crytek is the only engine allowed, or CryEngine is the only engine allowed, I would think that there would be stronger language in the contract about that. One, because it's just so not typical, but
there isn't.
But that's what they contest in their FAC, is it not? That was the reason why they got the buyout fee at such a bargain basement rate of 1.8 million euros, because that's cheap as fuck.
I don't even know if that's a bargain basement rate. Like, it's an engine, people. They were not. I don't think they were like employing Crytek engineers. I think that they bought an engine and it was a one-time license fee for the engine. That sounds like a normal license. I mean, heck, Unity and Unreal, you can develop all you want for free, and then it's when you release, they want you to pay based on how much you're selling.
Used to be like that too.
Or, you know, in all honesty, if you're really doing that big of a release, you negotiate that before you release, and you don't just take whatever blanket license agreement covers everybody. But again, these are big companies with law firms. They know how to make these agreements. There should be evidence and emails and stuff to back up what was really going on behind the scenes. So we're going to find out one way or the other, I think. Well, actually, the only way I think we don't find out what really went on is if they do settle the case and it's some kind of confidential something or other. I think that looks bad for everybody, though. So I wouldn't really recommend that either of them, if I was their lawyer, to that they settle the case confidentially.
I have no idea.
Unless they're getting paid for it. Unless they're getting paid enough money for keeping it confidential. Whoever's keeping it confidential should be getting paid for it.
Well, I don't know how long you've been following Star Citizen's development, but there's really not a whole lot of confidential shit going on here. There's always some asshole that leaks something about something somewhere that they should be keeping their mouth shut, and they don't.
No.
So that ties right into the next question.
For me,
Yes,
Heavy
Eva
Bob, do you guys remember the Discolano League 2015? Do you think it would have any relevance to the current Crytek versus Star Citizen? Consider RSI were caught hosting a public-facing torrent to Crytek development files, or have you guys just not thought about it?
One more time? What happened?
The way that CIG was sharing their information across their different studios was it was in a torrent form on AWS, and it was leaked at one point. The partial URL was leaked at one point, which gave people enough information that they were actually able to get into that non-public domain and extract all of the information that was there. And this was CryEngine source code. It was game assets that we had never seen. It was all kinds of shit that were put out. And it became a joke, you know, and nobody thought anything of it. But he's asking basically, do you think that has any forbearance on the lawsuit at hand?
I don't know. We didn't hear anything in the First Amendment complaint about that breach. So I wouldn't think that's the breach that they're talking about at all.
It's not willful either. You know, it's not. You know,
sure, it's right.
Yeah,
it wasn't like they intentionally gave out the URL.
Even then, they seem to have indemnified or waived, damages for negligence.
But you have to look at it another way also, which you haven't covered that much, but you mentioned it in your video because it was in the text. Is that Crytek has released the engine for anybody to develop on and then pay afterwards, as same as everybody else. So that this code is some sort of master code that you can't get access to. Everybody can get it. So
I can literally go to Crytek and download their game engine and access their source files for free and develop an independent game and pay them royalties after the fact, like we were talking about Unreal. I could do that right now. But then you are bound to a terms of service that say you won't take the source code and post it on the internet. So theoretically you're licensed to have it, but you're just not paying for that license until you profit from it. That was the thing. We used to fuck around with CryEngine all the time back when you could take Star Citizen assets directly out of their files and move them into your own CryEngine SDK, and you could build little islands and you could do all kinds of shit. Yeah.
Cool.
People videos all over the...
yeah, remember when Gray-Headed Gamer was really big on that? And he did a whole Star Citizen island.
Stopped doing them at one point.
Gray-Headed Gamer did?
No, someone else who stopped making videos of all these.
Oh, it was Anything FPS?
Yeah, Anything FPS. Oh.
Yeah, he made great fucking shit too.
let's see, Warwolf. Are there currently or recently any cases similar to this Crytek CIG case, and how are they, or did they proceed?
Not off the top of my head, no. Contract cases over license agreements like this, no, not off the top of my head. I'm sure there are a few that apply. The response actually cites a few cases that might be worthy of looking up. I just got the response was just filed Friday. There's probably other sites in other documents too, but if you, I will put this up on my website at some point. And it has a few sites in here that a few citations to various court cases that might apply to your questions.
Well, should Gentile legally have a warning displayed on screen before people are subjected to his face?
That is actually a part of the beginning of the show where it says the show is rated M for mature. So, and by clicking on the terms of service, by entering the base radio channel, you agree to all kinds of abuse that you didn't think you were going to. So I would suggest Warwolf find a big fat dick and stick it in his ass. Thank you.
Okay. Evisceratus, Mr.
I said
French,
that.
do you think it's a good idea for CIG to fight the lawsuit to the very last item rather than make some sort of settlement along the way, since this case is so well publicized, so as to possibly discourage any other entity, company, or individual from bringing any additional lawsuits in the future?
That's always a question. When I talk to a client about their case, is, you know, can you afford to go through the case?
Yeah.
I generally recommend that you go through your case and fight your case if you have a good case and can afford to fight it. But those are very difficult questions sometimes. Sometimes you can't afford to fight your case. You might even have the money, but you don't have the time, or you don't have the emotional fortitude to do it. And so if you can't afford the case, or if your case is not really a winning case, this case, I think they have a winning case if they can show what they've alleged. If Crytek cannot prove, and defendants can show, obviously they win. But CryEngine, I think, has the uphill battle here to show that this interpretation is so far different than what we've seen, or what we've been talking about.
But regardless of the outcome, the inevitability is the financial impact it has. Something's going on in Leonard's house. He's hearing.
Yeah, I've got noises going on behind me, which is weird.
It's one of your power drills that's got the button pressed.
Just making sure there's not like a fire starting or something.
Yeah, God forbid.
Probably a mouse got in again or something.
Well, you know, that's part of the greatness of living.
Isn't that's why you have dogs, so they can eat anything that comes in?
No, the dogs.
No, actually, I had cats. I didn't have mice until I had cats, and then all of a sudden I had a mouse, and then it was 2 mice, and then there were a bunch of mice.
The little field mouse.
Now it appears, yeah, the little tiny ones.
Yeah, they're so cute.
They're actually cute.
So
like, yeah, exactly. Like at first I was like, oh, I can't kill these things, and then somebody was like, they make more very quickly.
So, okay, question,
you have
Leonard.
dog food all over the place.
We still have a billion questions. Do you have time to go through more?
Yeah, sure. Let's keep going.
What the hell is this? Does Mark Wahlberg have legal grounds for prosecuting against Gentile for attempting to usurp his 1990 cab wearing style? Or is it
just
the
to let you
statute of
know,
limitations against that in the USA?
Yes, but this is actually a Detroit thing. So Mark Wahlberg, he stole it from us in the first place. Yeah, we're ghetto. So
here, that is from right from the source there.
So yeah.
Next one is a good one, by the way.
Leonard French, if CIG adopts a subscription model for Star Citizen, what kind of legal consequences would be generated from this move?
So to give you they've said this game is going to be, you buy it and there's not going to be a subscription. That's that what they said was that's not in their plans. They never said there's not going to be
the current subscription model, which is just voluntary.
Yeah. My best understanding is that they could change to a subscription-based model for people who had not bought something yet, but that people who had paid something, they would still have to deliver what they promised to deliver or offer some kind of refund.
Yeah, but that's like
I don't think it would even be a situation where they could force people to like apply the $100 you spend to your subscription or something like that. No. If they change the deal, I think they need to offer you an opportunity to get a refund, or they have to honor the deal. You see this in cell phone contracts in the US a lot. Like they'll change the deal and you can no longer get the unlimited cell phone plan or whatever, but the people who are already on it, they won't take them off of their existing contract because they don't really have the right to do so, at least not without really taking off some consumers' expectations.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah.
But they're going to be selling ships.
They might still have this voluntary subscription too.
And they will have the voluntary subscription. I guarantee it.
From Double Thackeray, out of the 4 gens, who has the best hat, and on a rating of 1 to 10, how good are his dogs? How good are the good dogs?
Well, obviously, Leonard French presents the best hat style of the evening, followed by T.O. with his Norwegian private investigator. Rellim, I would say, takes a close third with the Star Citizen Squadron 42 cap, and I'm just straight up ghetto, so I don't qualify. I'm representing the NRA, so all I gotta say is from my cold, dead hands.
Absolutely.
That's all I'm gonna say.
I'm with you, bro.
All I can say, it lacks style, but I like yours better.
From nowhere.
And how good are the dogs? Your dogs appear to be really well behaved.
They're pretty good, yeah. They have a couple quirks, but I raised them with the positive reinforcement methods of dog training, and they're very, very nice dogs. I really love them.
They don't eat your couch and shit?
Nope. They're really good.
That's good.
In fact, they sort of actively go out of their way not to upset me, which is really cool.
I could see Leonard French just going off on a tear, cussing, throwing shit. Goddamn dogs!
No. See, I feel just as bad though, because they would be like all scared and stuff. And I feel like I was being a bad daddy.
From nowhere, Leonard, what stars?
I have a random question.
Right.
Voices from another. What the hell?
So early in the show, you mentioned when you're talking about your YouTube channel, instead of saying "I," you said "we" or "us." Who else is involved in Leonard French's lawless? What's it called? Lawless.
Lawful masses.
Lawful masses. Yes.
We have a few members that are volunteers right now. I do try to pay them little things here and there when I can, but no one's actually like paid. Brandon is one of our people. There's Nathan. There's a Carl. There's a person who goes, a woman who goes by the name Tactical Bra, and she is one of our researchers.
I like that.
I don't know. I'm used to, or not used to, or something. I have difficulty figuring out when to say I did this versus when it was like the collective effort of me and the community. So sometimes I just err on the side of I'd rather just give the community credit for everything, because I wouldn't be doing this without the community either.
You're goddamn right you wouldn't. Humble.
Yeah, from nowhere.
Does that answer your question, Eden?
Yes.
Thank you.
What stars in profession are you looking forward to most? FYI, playing as a copyright attorney is not a planned future yet.
Oh.
Sorry, what was the question?
It means in Star Citizen. What profession are you looking forward to most?
Oh, profession in Star Citizen. Oh, I don't know. I didn't know I could choose professions in Star Citizen.
Well,
let's see. I like exploration.
Leonard French, the pirate.
It's not like you
I like
click a
exploration and combat, so piracy sounds like a total possibility for me.
Hmm.
But that sounds like I would have to be dedicated to that life. I don't know.
Hey, you can't even punish your dogs. How the hell are you going to be a pirate?
But it is a game. Yeah. Well, it's a game, that can take on a different.
You can be whatever you want to be on the internet, Mr. French. Even
but
a copyright attorney.
Full-time asshole? I don't think so.
Yeah, I kind of doubt it too.
Wolf. How do you think this case would affect the game industry as a whole, if at all? Will other companies follow suit, or is it likely a limited occurrence?
I think this is a limited occurrence. I almost think this is a lesson of don't do this. Don't resolve your conflicts this way. This doesn't seem like the way for any video game engine developer to approach any video game developer that they've been paid 1.8 million euros for. I don't know. This just doesn't. It seems like there would be more to the license agreement if there really was more to this actual in real life agreement between these parties. That's what I'm having trouble with.
I agree, and we covered that a little bit earlier. It doesn't make good business sense for them to attack their customer like that.
There is a part of state law. It's not like it's not like every state's law is the same in this regard, but in general, state law on contracts and businesses and things like that will often have a kind of set way to interpret something when the parties don't interpret it properly and they have a dispute over it. So there may be California law that if the parties are disputing a license agreement, we read the license agreement with this plain language or something, and then if that still doesn't add to it, then we go back into the history of these types of contracts or something. So there will be some procedure or even sometimes what we call gap filling provisions, which are actual pieces of code or law that go into the contract to substitute for things that are not clear. So I don't think that's going to happen in a software license agreement's exclusivity clause, but the idea that a court's going to look backward in time at other agreements in the same sort of contract dealing area, that will help clarify whether the exclusivity is normal in the direction that they're saying or not.
Next one, Evisceratus. Would some or all of the issues in dispute that survive legal norms and comes down to one side saying one thing and the other seeing the same issue in a different way basically come down to the two parties not having come to a meeting of minds in the agreement, thus perhaps making it no longer enforceable for either side? No. There's definitely been some kind of a meeting of the minds, and what the judge will determine is what that meeting of the minds was at the time. When there's not a meeting of the minds in contract law, it's usually something a lot worse than this. I'm struggling to think of a great example off the top of my head, but the meeting of the minds is
without having a meeting of the minds.
Right. We're not. I don't think
that sounds counterintuitive.
That kind of yeah. So when I'm thinking of something like where you didn't realize you were signing something, you didn't realize you were being bound by an agreement, those are not meeting of the minds kinds of things. You thought, what was the one? There was the one that was a genuine mistake. The parties thought that they were exchanging a pregnant cow. It turned out the cow was just fat, not pregnant. And it was what? And this is a real thing. It turned out the cow was not pregnant. And so what's the court to do? Both parties thought that they were exchanging a pregnant cow for the value of a pregnant cow. And now the cow is not worth that. One party got the money for a pregnant cow, the other party did not get a calf, or even the possibility of a CAF. So, is that unjust enrichment? Is that mutual mistake? How does the court reveal that or figure that out? Usually that's what we're talking about with meeting of the minds. This is not a mutual mistake where both parties thought that they were getting into an exclusivity agreement, and then it turns out that, we accidentally signed an exclusivity agreement in the opposite direction. Oh, look at that. Nobody's saying that. Like, this is not that kind of dispute. So
that's fine. I just want to point out that your ass is being called out in chat.
Who?
Mr. French. Tactical Bra says Brandon, Nate, Carl, etc. And some woman who goes by Tactical Bra.
She loves to give me a hard time.
Oh, that's good stuff.
Let's see.
That's when you know you're.
I was struggling to not call you by your name, Tactical.
Yes, please don't. Yeah. We don't want to dox anybody.
That's funny.
Bang Chow, what is your favorite lawyer-ish movie? E.g., Liar, Liar, A Few Good Men, Legally Blind?
My Cousin Vinny.
Blonde.
My Cousin Vinny.
My Cousin Vinny. Lol.
Roman just... I don't know what
town on something over there.
Abbreviations are, though.
Yeah, My Cousin Vinny, definitely. We just watched that the other night. It's very accurate. It's very funny. There's almost really nothing inaccurate about the movie. He even has to go through the pro hoc vice procedure and convince the judge that he's a respected lawyer from New York, so he should be able to try the case. And it's only after the case is over that he doesn't even get found out that he's been lying to the judge the whole. That's the worst part about it, though, that he lied to the judge. Like, that's because that you just don't do that. He could have lost his whole law license for lying to that judge. You just don't do that.
So there you go. If you haven't seen it, you got to go watch it.
And that's not a spoiler. That's not a spoiler. That is a subplot of the
movie.
Thing. But
good movie, though.
Really good. Marissa Tomei is so hot. Especially if you like strong female supporting characters. She's a great supporting character.
If you like nice-looking women, she's hot.
She is hot. New York accent.
New York.
Beautiful little doe-eyed little deer.
And it's secretly in the background right now. Eden Star is being triggered because we're quote-unquote objectifying females right now.
No, we're not.
I just rolled my eyes, that's all.
I know you did. I can feel it.
We heard it.
I can
Evisceratus
just feel it.
asks, one point of contention in the subject of CRG supposedly being required to supply Crytek with yearly bug/fixes. Could this be something that the court needs to determine insofar as what qualifies as a bug fix versus writing complete code in order to make certain features for the game?
Yeah. So if it gets that far, if the judge determines that there's a genuine claim there and that a remedy exists for that claim, and that means it survives the motion to dismiss, then we'll go to discovery and figure out. There'll be it's up to the parties. The judge doesn't dig. The judge isn't going to be conducting anything like, okay, tell me about, what's a bug fix? The judge can ask those questions, but the judge is not going to do that for the most part. The judge is going to rely on the parties to make their case, and then the judge will garner from what the parties say if there are already further questions for the judge to answer or ask. And, sometimes the judge will have further questions from there, and then they'll present their case to the jury and go, and the jury will make a decision.
So, and there's another question. Doesn't this lead to some sort of how should we put this? A lot of assumption that the judge know this. Where do you put the bar for what you have to tell the judge? Because I've been sitting as serving as a code judge. We have a code judge in our initial court system here in Norway. So you're not a jury member. You're a code judge, but you're one of the people. Yeah, so you have a professional and two co-judges, and there's a lot of assumption about what we know, But I can tell you for a fact that the professionals, lawyers, and judges, they know jack shit because they have no knowledge of anything but law.
They spent their life learning law. They didn't spend their life learning everything else. So
that's not their role.
You have to remember that. You have to write to your audience, and that's the difference between a good lawyer, a bad lawyer, experienced lawyer, an inexperienced lawyer, good writer, inexperienced writer, good researcher, inexperienced researcher, is knowing your audience and writing to your audience's understanding and ability. Something I struggle with on my channel is trying to figure out how brief to make things, how much commentary to add, how much opinion to add, so that people are interested and not, don't just turn it off and unsubscribe or whatever because I got too technical. Sometimes I feel like I'm just reading a document, but then I've chosen to read a document like this pleading, this recent response from defendants was a good read. Like I didn't need to add much to it. We're talking about like all the details and everything, but the actual read itself, I didn't need to stop and be like, okay, this means this and this means that. But when we went through, say, the James Romine case, it was almost unintelligible, and you had to stop every few sentences and just explain what he probably meant, because it was just impossible. That's the difference between a professional and not a professional, basically.
Warwolf, Eddie. Why does he keep doing that? Eddie French.
Attorney.
Attorney. Yeah.
As Crytek is based in Frankfurt, Kiev, and Istanbul, and CIG holds offices in the UK, US, Frankfurt, and Canada. If this court case fails to make headway in the US, could we see a repeat in European or other courts of law?
Yes, possibly. If this is somehow dismissed for lack of jurisdiction or dismissed without prejudice, yes, the case could be brought again in any place where there's proper jurisdiction. How you get proper jurisdiction is, like you said, where places where entities are based or where they do business. There's more to it than that. When we do the analysis in law, we call it things like minimum contacts with the forum state, but that's a really archaic way to say it, and it has meaning in the law, but it's really just where you do business or where you can be found, where you live or where your business exists, that sort of thing. Whether it can be brought after this will depend on whether it's dismissed or not dismissed with prejudice or without prejudice. Without prejudice means the case and claims are alive and can still be brought again, even if no one brings them. They're still, like, in theory alive. They're available to be brought. If they're dismissed with prejudice, then they're not available to be brought again. They are extinguished, the claims are adjudicated and done. Judges usually don't dismiss with prejudice unless they really feel like there's been some kind of adjudication on the merits. So this is probably not the place where the case is going to get dismissed with prejudice, sort of like we've been talking about. But it's possible the judge might look at this document and have his or her own reasoning that makes more sense than what I can make sense of it or what we can make sense of it. It's like I said, it's a complicated situation that I really can't see into their crystal ball of what the parties actually know. That would really help.
All right, let me follow that question up. And I don't know if this falls into your area of expertise or not, because this would be more of like a corporate structure question. Being that CIG, which is bound to the GLA with Crytek, is physically located in Los Angeles, California, which is where obviously that lawsuit was filed. Because of that, they have managed to structure their organization in a way that creates subsidiaries, i.e. the parties in the European Union are not CIG. They are Foundry 42, existing as a different company within the company. Does that create some sort of a legal shelter for that?
It's supposed to, yes. So a company might hold another company, and they might, one company might have the money, and the other company might have the assets, and the other company might do the work or something. All that has to be properly accounted for, and it has to be like independently operating, not like seriously independently, just it can't be operating solely for the purpose of getting around the law for the most part. And it has to be properly insured for its expected liability for its exposure. And if all those things are done properly, then yes, the corporate form will shield other its owners, basically, from any liability. So if RSI is at the bottom and SIG's in the middle and Foundry 42 is up top, then suing the one in the middle, whichever one I said, would not allow you to get to the one up top. It might allow you to get to the one below it, but not the one up top. You'd have to prove more. You'd have to pierce that corporate structure, as we say, pierce the corporate veil, the fake veil that is the corporate structure. But we recognize it, so it's a legal corporate structure. You would have to prove that either that the corporate form was formed improperly, used improperly, not maintained properly, accounted for properly. If you do that, then yes, you can breach that and get to the other corporations and potentially even individual owners and investors. You have to really start to show causation here. There's also this legal concept of causation, where you can't sue somebody for causing a traffic jam. So you're driving on the road, somebody gets into a car collision. Let's say they're drunk. Let's say it's a major car collision and they were definitely at fault. And you're 15 minutes late to work and you missed an interview and you didn't get a promotion. Something like that. You cannot successfully sue the driver of the car for making you late to work and missing your promotion. The law does not recognize that remoteness of cause. You need to have a closer approximation of cause.
Okay.
Next.
Lots of
Did we
questions.
already answer the Far Seeker? Do you think claiming lack of bug fixes could be an attempt to argue in front of a jury that technology developer for CIG game in front of an ignorant, naive jury?
That was my answer. Was all about audience, about writing to your audience. Yes, that's the responsibility of the parties to educate the judge. A little bit of the responsibility of the judge to educate themselves too. But as a judge, what do you educate yourself with, and is it going to bias you in an unfair way? So you let the parties present it first for the most part.
Oh, here's a Far Seeker again. Sorry about messing up the previous question, but do you think this could be a way for Crytek to try to get technologies developers CIG specifically for Star Citizen by convincing... Is the same question?
He means in discovery. He means is this a way for them to get confidential information? Yes and no. You can protect confidential information even in discovery. We can have things marked attorney's eyes only. Yes, there's a bit of trust involved, but even if there's some kind of exchange of source code for Star Citizen, is that really going to give Crytek some kind of unfair or unearned advantage? I mean, it was in their contract anyway to get the bug fixes. So
they did, though.
Yeah, but what source code? That's the point.
Yeah, to Star Citizen something or other, Star Engine
Lumberyard.
Or Lumberyard, maybe. Yeah, it could be. I don't know. Why would?
That's
what would
that's where the stretch goes. There's a limit somewhere.
There is a limit. It would have to be relevant. So it has to be relevant. The parties have to that you're requesting discovery from have to have relevant information. So I don't see getting access to Lumberyard's source code. I'm also not sure what that means. Like, isn't Lumberyard mostly CryEngine plus stuff? Like, yes. So why does, we know what the plus stuff is. Is it really that big of a secret that Crytek would go after Star Citizen to try and get a hold of it instead of just talking to Amazon, who bought it from them? I mean, it just makes a little more sense that they could talk to people. So I don't know. Unless we find out that
it's money involved. You have to remember that Lumberyard bought for, many tens of millions.
But Crytek made the original deal with Amazon. If they didn't get what they...
Or what?
Well, I'm not saying that they're owed anything more, but why would they want to try and then later on get the code for Lumberyard or something? They already made the deal to sell to Amazon. They don't need they sold it already. Like
they don't need it, but
make it
want and need is two different things. Greed is, I think, the big motivator here. Like
that particular one doesn't make any sense to me. But
greed?
No, not that somebody would be greedy. That makes sense to me. Just that I don't see Crytek as trying to get a hold of the Lumberyard source code through this lawsuit.
Yeah, because they're going to develop the Amazon Web Service model and try to promote their own way of hosting games and shit, which is never going to happen.
I think it's more about getting the proprietary rights through legal measures of the things they said, that this tool was developed on CryEngine prior to Lumberyard getting involved, etc. You know, it's a fishing expedition.
Well, there would be emails or logs or things like that would be discoverable, sure.
And I think they would expect to settle this out of court as well.
Yeah, but you're prying for motivation right now.
Well, remember, you need both parties to agree in order to be able to settle out of court.
Right.
That's what they're looking for. You know, they're looking for money. It's greed, regardless of how you look at it. It's bad business if you're going to continue. So I can't see them continuing the engine. There can't be the motivation. Then you wouldn't say, we're going to fuck you over if you become our customer. So,
yeah.
Greed has to be the center line here.
Well, Crytek was on the verge of bankruptcy, and they went months and months and months, this is public knowledge, without paying their employees. So I would think that greed is a major motivating factor, but you can't get inside of, you know, a CEO's head and understand what's going on there. But, you know, all things being equal, seeing that they were on the verge of going out of business, the cash influx from Star Citizen, CIG, helped them stay afloat long enough that they could make a major deal with Amazon. So I don't understand where they're going. I agree with everything that we've said to this point. Why would you present yourself now as a company who is out to fuck its customers? That is insane. Absolutely insane.
The money's been taken. My projection, I don't know this, I don't have any inside information, is that the money's already been taken out by the shareholders or whoever owns it in any capacity, by the owners basically, and they're just looking for more because they cannot possibly think that they're going to be selling this.
I'm going to go with the cocaine and prostitute theory. Somebody's got a major problem and they're just out of cash. So next.
Tommy Train, Leonard, what is Crytek's next move? Motion to amend?
The next move is the judge will rule on this. Crytek could possibly make one more response. It's generally not done that way, but they could respond one more time. And then the judge will rule, and the judge's ruling will determine what happens after that.
What kind of time frame do you think?
The judge will rule on the motion to dismiss probably within 5 or 6 weeks. I'm going to guess by March we'll have something.
Okay.
The only reason it might come later is if maybe the judge agrees with the motion and wants to properly articulate why it is being granted. If it's being denied, I would expect the denial to come pretty quick. Sometimes they don't even explain the denial, and they just say that there seems to be a dispute, a genuine dispute, and, you know, motion denied. The party, and then the judge will set deadlines for things, and the case will go on. And we'll update. I'm sure we'll update with that too. Even if it's a little update, because everybody's so interested in it. It's the newest big lawsuit.
We will really be depending on you as our favorite contract.
Yeah, we have the case monitored.
To provide that information.
We pay for a research system that monitors the cases across the whole country, and this one's definitely on the list. Every morning I get an email with its status.
Oh, nice. Charlie13, do you think that Crytek making a new game for this year, all this is just try to draw attention to themselves? Well, that would be
weird way to draw attention to yourself.
Yeah. What?
I'd much rather be hyped up about the awesome CryEngine and not be like, why are you guys suing Star Citizen?
Mayonnaise, do you think the Crytek lawsuit will have an effect on other deals, contracts CIG attempts to make with other companies?
Both companies, probably. One of the things we saw in the Imagos case was that even just one rogue employee was able to keep deals from being made by everybody involved. So, yeah, you definitely... sometimes it's a sabotage lawsuit as well. I've seen that before, where you just sue somebody in the hopes that it does damage to them, and maybe more damage is going to be done to one party than the other, and that's somebody's goal. But yeah, I forget where I was going with that. But
that falls into the whole we're just butthurt because you're not using our engine anymore and advertising. Yeah. So, but we don't know those motivations. There's no way to tell.
Yeah.
The judge is DS. Well.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And we're on the last question.
All right.
We were told to save this one for last, by the way.
Has Eden Star become one with the internet like Lucy in that Luc Besson film starring Scarlett Johansson with black hair that I can't remember the name of? You just said it. It's Lucy. That is the name of the movie.
That was the name of the movie, yeah.
That was a good movie.
I think I saw that one.
Yeah. Okay.
I think I'm biased because I like Scarlett Johansson.
With Morgan Freeman. It's Morgan Freeman in it, yeah. Wow. Okay, so we're through all these questions. Only half an hour over. Only.
Congratulations.
And we even stopped the questions
Leonard,
early.
you were a big fucking hit here, obviously. Yeah, we did stop the questions like 45 minutes early.
Well, it was
so we could have probably went on for another couple hours, but that's crazy.
Morgan Freeman for UAE president? UAE president.
Yeah, that would be good.
That would
be good. He could be the new imperator.
They don't have a president, right? Yeah.
They have an imperator. Well, right now they have a triumvirate, but whatever.
Maybe they have a head of state, though, something like that. Just like...
Oh my God! Now the chat's just getting way off base. Morgan Freeman for God in Star Citizen.
Morgan Freeman could be like space.
The voice of the black hole.
Yeah,
dude, it would be cool if he was like your inner thought. If he was your inner thought, if he voiced over all that inner thought stuff, that'd be funny. That'd be pretty good. But anyways, we got to get out of here. So
spicy fish last night.
That's right. Thank you, Mr. French, for your time. It's really appreciated, and all the work that you're doing on the back end and presenting this information and something that's understandable for dumb fuckers like me who don't really. I just try to avoid the law at all costs. I obey the rules and do what I'm supposed to do. So all this
one crime at a time.
Yeah, it's a little bit over my head. So I appreciate you.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Cool. Yeah. So for all the. What was I going to say? I can't hear you. You saying something?
I know. I just have to press the button. So I was just going to say publicly, this is the first streamer that I come back to actually watch other stuff than then. So I've actually watched a few videos on other stuff that has nothing to do with Star Citizen. So,
wow,
cool.
Well,
he knows his stuff.
Thank you.
He doesn't compliment people lightly, so it's a big fucking deal right now. So
apparently
he's saying that you're good and you should keep doing what you're doing because you're.
I'm definitely doing it. I really appreciate it.
And we will be more than happy. Yeah, right. It doesn't happen often. So with that, I would just say, if there's anything that you need from us, you let us know. If you want to come on and talk about stuff, if you need,
sure.
Not that you need our help promoting you because you're doing a relatively good job. Yeah, we'd be more than happy to help.
Well, yeah.
We appreciate your effort.
Well, in any case, if you want to know more about the game itself, because I can feel like you have questions on that end as well. Like what can we recommend for people that like Board Gamers YouTube channel, something like that? He does occasional news updates, which are really short and useful to take back of it if you don't have time to go through all the freaking text pages. I think he has good videos. Noobifier YouTube channel, something like that, or just us, of course, like this show. But then again,
there you go.
Yeah, but we just talk shit more than provide information, so that's kind of a little bit different. But yeah, if you ever need anything, you're welcome to stay in the Discord, and you can poke any of us and just ask questions. The community is really kind of ridiculous.
They're
very helpful, overly generous. Obviously, because we've funded Star Citizen to the tune of almost $200 million. So, very generous group.
So
it's a tight knit, if slightly poorer community.
Yes,
you'd think that, but apparently, there's still money coming out of everyone's pockets. Yeah. So thank you all the listeners too, like all the new people. I've seen people from Leonard French's community poking in.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening, though. That's awesome. You were all here. Your input is appreciated. Your questions were appreciated.
The most important.
What?
Yes, she is. She's very.
She's going to be the most important part of that. Or just like Eden Star is to this show, I'm sure that she probably
1 millionth
fills that role.
Are we talking about Tactical Bra again?
Yes.
Yeah.
I like that name.
I love the name. It's killing me. It's just killing me. It's so funny.
So let's get the hell out of here. Appreciate everyone for being here.
Have a good night.
And we'll drop all the links from us and from Leonard French once again in chat. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, on our Discord, our YouTube channel, where we will uploading these episodes, and of course Leonard French's YouTube channel. As We Hamster usually drops
We
that
Hamster
stuff.
is on it, yeah.
And then we'll be just going, and we'll see everyone next week. Another roundtable as usual, Sunday, 22 UTC. You're at the Base Radio, Twitch.tv, and wherever else we broadcast to. See ya, everybody. Till next week. Bye.
Ladies.
I support the monkeys. Do you? Check out The Base, 24/7 online radio. Oh, yeah! Visit us at TheBase.sc. They're professionals.